You've got questions, we've got answers. We have the man to answer them, Jeffrey Levine from Buckingham Wealth Partners. Jeffrey, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Hammer.
It's good to be with you, Bob.
Good to have you. I have a question in my inbox. In light of all the people entering the gig economy, I think this one's appropriate. It goes like this. How might I go about deciding whether to save using a SEP-IRA or a solo 401k?
It's a good question. So the question comes up a lot later in the year as people are beginning to look back at their year and see that they had, certain profits, and obviously putting money away for retirement can help to reduce the tax liability. Now, when it comes to picking the right retirement plan, there are several things to keep in mind. Now, one is how much money do you want to put away? And how much money did you make? Because those things will determine one another or have a large say in which type of plan you pick. For instance, if you made $100,000 a year, right? If you had $100,000 of earnings, you would not be able to put away more than about $20,000, if I'm rounding here, but about $20,000 into a SEP-IRA as a sole proprietor. But if you had a 401k, you could put significantly more in there because you'd be allowed your salary deferral element, plus you'd be allowed a profit sharing portion on top of that, right? Now, if you made $500,000 a year, you'd be able to put the same amount in both plans because you'd be maxing out. You'd hit the cap and there's no more. So part of this is how much do you want to put away? Second is how much can you put away with that particular type of plan? And then what are the other type of options you're looking for? So with a 401k, you may be able to take loans, for instance, whereas if you put money into an IRA, including a SEP-IRA, loans are prohibited. Are you looking for, for other options that a plan might allow, such as the ability to use plan assets to buy life insurance, where that's prohibited with an IRA? So there are, if you've got employees in your company, right, what sort of contributions would you have to make on their behalf? Is there a difference in creditor protection between the types of accounts? So there's lots of different elements that go into this. Primarily, the leading factor is usually cost for folks. So how much money will I save in taxes? And if I have employees, how much will it cost me to implement this plan? Particularly for small business owners, that's their primary concern. But it's important to consider all these other ancillary things as well.
Right. And I suspect time is of the essence for folks who want to set up a solo 401k. They need to do so before year end. And if they set up a SEP-IRA, they can do so up until the 15th of April.
No, actually, it's a really good follow-up there, because SEP-IRAs and actually a couple other plans as a result of the Secure Act give us a lot of flexibility. So SEP-IRAs, profit-sharing plans, pension plans, annuity purchase plans, basically any plan where all of the funding is provided by the employer, those can be created and funded for the prior year up until the tax filing deadline of the business. So for some people, that actually might be as late as October 15th of 2022 for 2021. Now, for some folks, that'll be March 15th if they've got a business that has to file by March 15th and they don't file an extension. But there is an ability for those employer-funded plans to create and fund retroactively. Now, on the other hand, as you mentioned, a solo 401k, in order to create the salary deferral component of the 401k, that is supposed to be identified before the end of the year. And so you can't identify an amount to contribute to a plan that doesn't exist. So you do want to have your solo 401k in place and be able to put a salary deferral in there. That you do need to do before the end of the year. The profit sharing add-on to that can be decided at a later point next year before your filing deadline. But if you want the deferral element, that needs to be done this year.
Jeffrey answered that reader's question and then some.
Well, we appreciate it. We love questions. And if you'd like us to tackle yours, give us a shout. Email us here at askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com. Again, give us a shout at askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com. And Bob and I look forward to answering your questions real soon.